I don't think the new generation understand what that meant for us. We weren't just following. We weren't just watching you perform, and it was incredible. You guys help us breaking it down on a not just fitness, dancing level, like those DVD that follow, each one of you had a different technique.
Yeah.
And Rachel Brice, your videos, people now, I see so much belly dancing happening, and I love the fact that new styles are coming around. But I want to spread the message and acknowledge what you've done, because you, of course, being the main choreographer and all your team, because those people now, you guys are legend. But because before you, there wasn't much apart from having to go to Cairo. Or
right. We used to have to travel overseas to get access. Like DVDs really changed and transformed our genre of dance.
I don't think a lot of people know that Miles Copeland was behind it.
He started the Bellydance Superstars. I was introduced to Miles Copeland, who, as you know, was the manager of Sting. So huge in the music world, huge in Hollywood world. And he had the idea to take belly dance to the global stage. It was gutsy. It was brave. He had the connections. He also had the infrastructure and connections to bring it there. And I knew it was a big opportunity. So I gave, 100% of effort, of ideas, of creativity. And I knew it was going to be something really, really big. Opened up a lot of doors, not just for the dancers in the company, but it gave a lot of exposure to belly dance. So someone in Brighton, somebody in Kentucky, somebody in, little town in Germany, there became an interest in belly dance, and those teachers and schools started to get a lot more interest in belly dance. So that's something I'm really proud of. We kind of piqued interest. We brought like an awareness to the art form.
Yes, again, thank you so much for doing this. It's been my dream. And as you teach us, dreams happen.
Well, thank you for having me. And you've got me thinking about this journey of mine. And it didn't start with a business plan. It started with like a spark. I think like most dancers, like an interest and a curiosity into the world of Middle Eastern dance. And it's like an onion. You keep peeling back a layer and you discover something new. Even after over 30 years of doing it, I still discover new and beautiful things every time I create something, every time I learn a new piece of music. Yeah, it's such a beautiful art form.
From my point of view, this is how it all happened. So I've got my own belly dance school in London, and we keep going and keep on doing it. And then I wanted to start interviewing people that meant so much to me, that we are so focused on the look and the dance and the technique and people that touch us, women that touch our soul. Yes. I wanted to really take, like having the Friday, and I had to stop it for a while for personal reasons, and then I'm like, every Friday, I was talking to women that really, stop the dance, stop the business, stop the old work, and talk. Take some time to just talk. I love talking, and talk to women that really touch me. So as you've seen, I've interviewed quite a few. When I saw the California fire, I've done some of your workshops, and when I've seen the fire and what that studio meant, even if I've never been there, but I know what that studio meant, like the legacy in that studio. And I'm Italian, living in London, never been in that studio. And I was like, oh my God, the studio's gone on fire. Let me check she's okay. Let me check that is untouched.
Well, in California, the home where I had, it was a studio at home, and my husband had a recording studio. and the home. It was a beautiful home and a beautiful property. And one of the reasons we moved to Hawaii, that's where I live now, this is where I am, Maui, Hawaii,
Wow.
was we were fearful of the fires. We were fearful that that would happen. And just thinking about it, oh, I get goosebumps. And yeah, that place was very sacred. So many dreams were born there. So many projects. Belly Dance Evolution was created there. So much music. It's a very historical property. Beyond just my husband and I, there's a whole documentary going to be made about that property. I'll share it with you one day. It's very interesting. Many, many great musicians, yogis, artists. It's so it just puts things into perspective, you know, what's really important, those physical things or the things that we take with us in our hearts, in our memories, and the things that we really cherish is our people, our relationships. That's really the bottom line when it all comes and goes. The bottom line is our relationships, our people.
So, and I'm sure you're very spiritual as well. I never asked you, but I know you are. I recognize you, and I know I could feel that place energetically, and that's what I was like. And the spirits and everything just are with us at the moment, I believe, because it's what now you're telling me, because that's another thing I wanted to say, because I don't think a lot of people know what you and your husband did, because I'm a musician as well. So and I've been choreographed your husband music for God knows how long, and we perform it. We brought belly dancing at the Royal Academy of Art with your husband's Fury. Yes, so it's I want to acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge you, really.
Thank you.
So I'm in London 20 years ago, a bit more. I was a dancer, and then very briefly got into belly dancing out of coincidence. I had to train. There was nowhere to train, but you will have teachers to tell you to follow them, right? And you know, coming from the Middle Eastern, you try and follow them, you think, I can't, there's no hope for me, because I'm Mediterranean, but I'm not Middle Eastern. And I remember in London, Edgware Road, I don't know if you've ever been to know, but Edgware Road is a strong, it's got very beautiful, wonderful Arabic cultures and a lot of belly dancing events and outflows.
I do know it, actually, yeah.
And that's when I started belly dancing. And I remember thinking there was no YouTube at the time. There was nothing. And I was like, where do I learn it? Like, I'm very visual. So I like to watch and learn and take it in. So I would stop in those restaurants in Edgware Road and drink my mango juice and watch those TVs, holding this belly dance show in, Lebanese, Egyptian TVs. And they would be on from morning till evening. And everybody used to know me because I would sit there and just watch them. Until this came out.
Oh my goodness.
I've got so many, but this one is the DVD and the CD.
Woo!
Right? Yeah. So to me,
the collector's item. Do you know that this year is 22 years? 22 years that the Bellydance Superstars was created, and we toured with the Lollapalooza, like that big rock and roll festival. That was our first tour. That was insanity and beautiful and crazy and wonderful. Yeah, it was a lot. Iconic. Yeah, thank you.
Wow. And I don't think the new generation understand what that meant for us. We weren't just following. We weren't just watching you perform, and it was incredible. You guys help us breaking it down on a not just fitness, dancing level, like those DVD that follow, each one of you had a different technique. Yeah. And Rachel Brice, your videos, Sonia with Isam, and it was just like, I could not stop. I've been watching you guys from morning till evening. And you being the maker of this magic. You were the choreographer, your husband. And so people now, I see so much belly dancing happening, and I love the fact that new styles are coming around. But I want to spread the message and acknowledge what you've done. Because you, of course, being the main choreographer and all your team, because those people now, you guys are legend, but because before you, there wasn't much apart from having to go to Cairo or
Right. We used to have to travel overseas to get access. Like DVDs really changed and transformed our genre of dance. Then of course came YouTube, and now with all the social media, it's really these tools are, you know, connecting us. There are also things that, you know, people have concerns about too with social media. So there's, you know, there's all this balance of it. But one thing for me personally is I feel like I've been able to connect with dancers from all over the world in a very unique way.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Now I want to know all about you, Jillina. So tell us let's start with, how did you what's your dancing background? Which I can see, and which is incredible. But how did you get then into Oriental dancing, Rakshaki, or belly dancing?
Well, I always say, like, I didn't find belly dancing. Belly dancing found me. I was doing contemporary dance, jazz, hip hop, other dance forms, and some ballet too. And then I discovered belly dance, and it just hit me. It hit me in my gut, if you will. It hit me like right here, if you will. And it was something that felt very natural to my body. And one of the things that I really felt so deeply in love with is the self-expression, that the space for that. Like, you can have these big choreographed numbers, you can have group pieces, but there's this incredible space for individual expression in style. And that was something that appealed to me tremendously on a deep level, on a primal level.
Wow. How did you, I don't think a lot of people know that Miles Copeland was behind it.
He started the Bellydance Superstars.
Okay.
So I was dancing, and I had already been traveling to Egypt, and I had just kind of started my workshop career, kind of graduating, you know, the dancer's journey, as I was, you know, performing a lot, and I was, you know, traveling, starting to do workshops. And I was introduced to Miles Copeland, who, as you know, was the manager of Sting. So huge in the music world, huge in Hollywood world. And it was this incredible, you know, opportunity. He had the idea to take belly dance to the global stage. It was gutsy. It was brave. He had the connections. He also had the infrastructure and connections to bring it there. And for me, it was something in my career in that moment, I really was ready to go to the next level. I had just started my Sahlala dance company. It was my first dance company, and we were doing all these gigs, and I was choreographing groups, and I was just like, okay, now what's next? And to my life walked this person and opened this huge door. And I knew it was a big opportunity. So I gave, 100% of effort, of ideas, of creativity. And I knew it was going to be something really, really big. It was challenging to work with somebody who was not in the dance world, who was not an artist, but was a businessman. And we often had conflicting ideas. I was, trying to hold the traditions together and create something also for the general public. And so there was moments when we just agreed to disagree, but in the end, it transformed our genre, it transformed our industry, and it was transformational for myself personally. I grew so much. I learned so much. And it opened up a lot of doors, not just for the dancers in the company, but it gave a lot of exposure to belly dance. So someone in, Brighton, somebody in Kentucky, somebody in, little town in Germany, there became an interest in belly dance, and those teachers and schools started to get a lot more interest in belly dance. So that's something I'm really proud of. We kind of piqued interest. We brought like an awareness to the art form.
Just for younger generation that don't understand what was happening at the time. Belly dancing was Oriental dancing, but at the time it was called belly. I mean, Shakira was just coming out, right?
That's right. And Shakira, there's kind of three things that really happened in Latin America. Well, Shakira, because she's global, she's a global artist. So she kind of brought that, oh, dancers want to look like Shakira. I'm sure you've had students come and say that. Then you had this soap opera called Colón. There was a soap opera in Latin America. It was in Spanish, and it was about a Moroccan family. And they had tons of belly dancers. They had great belly dancers on this soap opera. And it was a huge launch for belly dance interest, specifically in Latin America. And then it was also the Bellydance Superstars. It really kind of opened up, those three things were happening almost simultaneously. Yeah, you're right.
I always say to my students, like, that was the belly dancing time. Because before was something like a dream. I always believe every woman dreamed to do it. It's in our bones. Like I always say, I reclaim belly dancing belonging, honoring the Middle Eastern culture, of course, because they've developed it and everything. But I believe that it's a dance that is in our bones, that every woman feel that desire, internal desire to do it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that moment felt like a collision of art and opportunity. Boom, coming together.
Yeah. It's really happened like that. So this is why now we have all these incredible festival. We have these beautiful dancers coming from around. But before that wasn't possible. It was the best kept secret, belly dancing. Like and you made it accessible to women like us that we weren't from the Middle East, that we loved it and honoring that culture, but that our body needed to do it, and the way you guys broke it down was incredible. Do you want to tell us a bit about your teacher and how you start the actual belly dancing?
Yes, I started with an American teacher. So my first teacher was an AMCAB teacher. Her name is Anna Heed. And then that was sort of the first introduction to that. She was so kind, so warm, so generous. She encouraged me to train with others. That was one of the things I loved most. Those teachers who push you to even continue their journey beyond you. Then I had Zahra Zuhair and Sahra Saida. And both are American teachers, Middle Eastern style, but heavily into the Egyptian style. Then I traveled to Egypt. I started traveling to Egypt, going overseas. Then I really studied extensively with Rakia Hassan, big time choreographer, as you know. I also had the wonderful opportunity to train with Mahmoud Reda, Farida Fahmi, Aida Noor, Tito.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I remember so clearly being so nervous to take a class with, and I took private lessons with Mahmoud Reda. That was even extra scary because I was I was very eager. I was so hungry for it. And I remember my first class with him was Mawashahat, and it was the 10, this 10 rhythm. And I was so lost. I was so humbled in that class. And he was so kind and so warm. And we went after class, we walked over and he helped me pick out a bunch of old VHS videos.
Wow.
So we went for coffee and shopping. It was such a delightful moment. I'll never forget that. And it was so generous of him. But those teachers, that lineage is so important because it matters, because it reminds us that we're part of something bigger. That we didn't invent this, that we are part of something, that we're stewards, and we're just passing along this information. So I think celebrating our teachers, whether you're studying from a great famous star or the local teacher at a community center that no one's ever heard of, I really want to get back to that. And I think that this generation needs to get back to that a little bit more, honoring and celebrating those teachers. Even if they had a small part of your journey, they're definitely part of that journey, passing the torch to you, celebrating you. And that's something I'm excited to share with, but it will propel our dance forward the more we can celebrate our teachers.
I love that, Jillina. That's when the humbleness, the gratitude towards where you come from. It's what makes you ginormous, and everybody, the more you reach, the more you want to go back, right?
Yeah.
And learn
100%.
even from.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm gonna keep a bit real now.
Okay, bring it.
Yeah, we kept it real, very real. Did you experience any resistance from the traditional teaching?
Yeah, I.
Like you were kind of, you weren't, you know?
It was painful, and to be quite honest, there was some painful moments because I was traveling to Egypt. I was studying there, and I was learning the traditions, folkloric dances. I studied a lot of folklore, and it helped me. It transforms my belly dance. Of course, I studied the dance and the music and learning the language to translate my songs and things like all those little details, learning more about the culture, the history, the religion, the origins, and then bringing it into this style. So when Bellydance Superstars came out and they were doing this modern approach, we were trying to bring it to the mainstream. There was a lot of traditional dancers that didn't enjoy what we did. They didn't, we were, it was a painful time in some moments, but tradition doesn't always love change, but change is inevitable. Hence the name of my company, Evolution.
Yeah.
Bellydance Evolution. I think all art evolves. Ballet didn't stay the same. It became contemporary dance, and from contemporary you have modern, and there's always these lineages, but you have to trust yourself if you've done the work, if you've done the homework, and you understand the rules, you understand the history, then you can break the rules. Like my teacher always said, you can't break the rules until you learn them first. Until you can do the traditional stuff, then you can start playing with how you're going to present it. And knowing your audience is hugely important. That's an important point as you're presenting your art. Who are you presenting it for?
I love that. That is such a fantastic, like honoring your roots, but keep on evolving. Because if we don't evolve, we die. And I can imagine the resistance you must have felt through this whole journey of evolving belly dancing. And thank you for going through all of that and respecting, the roots and everything, but still moving forward.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about. Okay, can you spell your husband's names right? Paul
Din Latier, Dinletir. Hope I said that right. Din Latier, yeah.
I kept repeating all day. I'm like, let me have say, Paul Din Latier. I call it Dinla.
Yeah.
Din Latier. Paul Din Latier.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been given enough credit in the belly dance world.
So we have different last names. So I'll tell you a little bit about it because I'm an open book. Paul and I have been married for 30 beautiful years, and we've been together a really long time. He was born in Beirut, Lebanon, and he came to the United States when he was just 18. There was a war going on. His parents sent him off to music school, and we met in the United States, of course. We met, we fell in love, and he does not have necessarily a Middle Eastern music background, but he has an extensive music background. Like his father was a musician. He plays classical music and all, so this lineage of music. So when we work together and he's creating works of music, we're doing that side by side. So it's something more than music. It's something more than choreography. We're telling a story. The goal of that collaboration is to not only for you to see those things, but for you to feel something, right? For you to feel something so deeply and profoundly artistic. So you're connecting those modalities of music and dance. So it's a special collaboration, and I feel incredibly, incredibly grateful.
This is what I wanted to give the attention to, because being a musician myself, I understand that connection. Yes, I'm a musician, but I always thought that the connection between you and your husband created those masterpieces. And now in my mind, it's like, and when I talk to people, like, not a lot of people know that he's the composer, and I'm like, but that's what makes the magic. It was just like logical in my mind, because Medusa Fury. I think every belly dancer in this planet have,
And it's a whole nother level with Bellydance Evolution, because these are theatrical productions, right?
Yeah.
Like my current show is Alice in Wonderland with the BD Experience and Jungle Book for Bellydance Evolution. So the music is a complete soundtrack for the story, for the dances, for the choreography. So it takes you through the story, because he has a lot of experience in film and television, writing music for film and television to a picture. So he writes music to a picture. Then we get to collaborate, and I'm painting the picture. And nowadays people ask me, like, well, what does that look like? And, you know, sometimes it's a storyboard. Sometimes I'll show him the costume. Sometimes I'll dance around and I'll sketch things out. And sometimes I'll just prance around in the kitchen with my cup of coffee and say, and now we're going down the rabbit hole. And, you know, it's a comical moment.
You should do a documentary about that, Jillina. I'm not joking.
The making of. It's really funny sometimes, because he's like, you know, I have a real job. I'm very busy over here. And it's like, yeah, but I need a rabbit hole music.
I love that. No, but that's you need to make a documentary about it. I think it's so powerful, because it's just like the visual and the sound coming together.
Yeah.
And that's the secret. That's the magic.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's beautiful. Tell us a bit more about your upcoming show. So what are you doing with the, okay, no, that's the question. What's the evolution between Bellydance Superstar and Bellydance Evolution?
Yeah, so I was with Bellydance Superstars, I'm just kind of guessing about 14 years-ish, something like that. And I was the artistic director, main choreographer, and performer. And
may I just say sorry to interrupt you. Your drum solo with this oh my God. Yes.
So Isam and I, backstory, Isam and I worked in the clubs together for years. We have a long artistic relationship, many years. As a belly dancer, I grew up with Isam in the club. Like one of my first clubs, he was my drummer. And how lucky for me to have a master percussionist and somebody so generous and kind and funny. And so touring together with him was so much fun. We had so many laughs and so many crazy moments. But yeah, so that really, I felt like I had kind of reached like a point that I needed to evolve. I needed to kind of spread my wings a little bit, because I was not the executive producer of the Bellydance Superstar. I was the artistic director. So not being the producer, I didn't make all the decisions. There was, again, things maybe I didn't agree with, but we got along. So I was ready for something new. So I kind of like retired my hat there, and it was so scary, because I thought, you know, well, what's next? What am I going to do next? And no one's going to know me. It was like I had all this, connection through the Superstars. So I decided to do something different, and I wanted to do a theatrical show with a storyline. So that's really the main difference of those projects, if you will. So Bellydance Evolution is my professional theatrical show, pro level dancers, and that has been. We think we just celebrated about 12 years, something like that. Yeah, 12 years. And then I started the BD Experience, which is a performance training intensive. So I created this beautiful production, all the costumes, all the choreography, and then I do the casting for pro level up to intermediate up to pro level. So you can join my production, you get all this experience, you get all the insights, you get to learn how to make a production. So I get a lot of directors that come through my program, because they're like, how do you do this? And we do it, and it's my methods. I'm really proud of the methods that I have evolved. I'm using technology. I have a team of directors with me. I've got these great teams. So I really have learned to delegate. That's another important tool to be a good leader. Being a good leader is to be a trusting delegator. Is that a word? Delegator?
Yeah. Then I take it. I take it.
It is now.
You do a master class for us. Oh my God, this is fantastic. I would love to know. Actually, I would like to do, if possible, another interview about just about that, because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
incredible.
it's
All
it's
about.
quite in it's quite entailed. It's quite it's a it's a beast. It's a big thing. So I'm excited. I'm leaving in 10 days to Australia. We're going to be doing Alice in Wonderland in Melbourne, Australia. I just got back from Mexico. So it's in that I'm heading to Seattle and Pittsburgh.
You're incredible.
It's blowing up.
I know. Jillina, one more
Yeah,
question before we go.
sure.
Because if possible, I would love to do more interviews in the future because you
Yeah,
have
of
so
course.
much to give. But the last question, I'll let you go. Two, actually.
Okay,
In
okay.
another world, I can see a lot of dancers, of course, learning through. There's a lot of competition coming up.
Yes.
Would you say that's the best way for anybody that wants to really upgrade their level of belly dance? Is that the only alternative to really study more? Because I feel sometimes those competition take away the heart and the soul, and it just bring out something that can be, you kind of lose a bit of your soul and too much on the technique, or maybe that's the best way. Learn all the technique and then go back to the soul. Any other way that us or my students.
Yeah. Competitions, there's pros and cons. I really do believe that. I believe that a competition can sharpen your skills, but it can also blur your purpose, right? It can blur kind of the purpose. So I hope that people would, if they do it, they want to have a place where they can get goals of growing, get goals of getting feedback, get goals about improving on their performance skills, because a competition, you have to get up and perform it. So as you said, I do want to agree with that other point. There's not a lot of room for like this emotional expression, right? Because you've got to show like a list of technical things that you can accomplish. And that's part of being in a competition. So that's a good thing. But then there's not enough space for maybe a lot of emotional expression. But there are like some great dancers, because I've judged tons of competitions, and you just go like, wow, the dancer had all of the checklist and she had great, emotional connection. So there is room for that. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but when you get into these competitions where there's like 400 dancers, it's really hard to take it all in. But I think the advice for the dancer is do them for personal goals that you can grow, you can evolve, you can also be among your peers, because that's an important thing. I think it's something that has served me so well. I'm surrounded by my peers. I don't surround myself by just my students or my fans, because you can get really stuck in a rut there. So if you're surrounded by peers, other great dancers, it inspires me I want to be just as good as them. Oh, I want to level up with them. And I try not to compare myself, although it's human nature and we still do that at times. I try to think about my strengths. What do I have to contribute? And that dancer is so great. They've got these incredible strengths, and I want to bring my strengths up as well. So those are my thoughts with that, as far as like competition, that as long as it's a path that leads to longevity.
Yeah, I think you've answered both, because I was going to ask you if new girls loving belly dancing, what would you be the advice to start learning?
I guess just keep going. There's this fear like, oh, I'm not going to fit in, or I'm not going to look right. It's like, find something that connects with you. Find a teacher that resonates with you. That's number one, because you're going to be so motivated to show up. Dancing is not a bunch of steps in the beginning. It's a feeling. I want to do that. I want to try that. I'm attracted to that thing. And it's a spark. Follow your spark, follow your passion, get on the internet, find some classes near you, and go in person. You can train online, but I would say you got to do both. If you really want to evolve your dance, and right now I do coaching for dances, for professional dancers. And we're coaching online and they're training online. But I also am telling them, go spend your money with somebody in your neighborhood. Go take classes in person with a coach that can have their hands on you, their eyes on you, that physical connection. And there's something that also magical happens there. So I think you just gotta be open to it. It's so scary. Everything for the first time is scary. Everything for the first time is scary. And I want to go back just briefly and mention about a competition, because my first competition I did, guess what? I didn't even win. I didn't get first place. And you know what? I had a pretty darn good career. I'm still going. Life goes on. It's devastating in the moment. But you know what? I learned a lot and I was humbled. I was around my peers and they were better than me. And it was really a good experience in that sense. And I had build that thing up. So everything you do is scary, but just, follow that gut feeling. You're not alone and you are the next generation. You're passing the torch.
And just keep going. Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
Just keep dancing.
Yeah.
Jillina, thank you so much. It's been a honor, and I'm sure I'm going to interview you again because I got a lot of questions already coming. I love what you said about, director, what you do. Your shows are a masterpiece. I would love to find out more about it and learn from it. I don't know if you do master classes.
Sign up.
Yes, I will. And it's amazing. Thank you so much. And
thank you so much.
What can I say?
Claudia, you're doing great work. You're building community there. I see the work you're doing. I see you and I value you. And it's important that you're out in the world, you're sharing your passion, but you're also, educating dancers. You're bringing dancers in of all different backgrounds and exposing them to this beautiful art form. And I just want to celebrate you too. Congratulations on the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything. I honor you.